And we're live. Let's do this. So, hey everyone, welcome and thank you so much for joining and tuning us with us today. We have really special guests and a really hot topic currently in the market, which is privacy. 2025, what happened? 2026, what we're expecting, and where are we headed? And again, thanks for joining. Just to give a little bit more context, so privacy has gone, from a niche crypto sector and currently is the hot topic, it's the trend within the market. So that's why we thought, why not gather leaders within the space from different tech stacks and different technologies to come in here and share their thoughts, business opinion, and where is privacy headed in 2026. So I'm gonna leave the floor to each and every single one of you. If you'd like to start, Nathan, just introduce yourself, the company that you work for, and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ricardo, for having us, and happy to see you all. So, Nathan, so Chief Revenue and Ecosystem Officer at iExec. So, iExec basically is building a privacy tool for years. So, we bring trusted off-chain computing and confidential data processing to Web3 using TEs, so Trusted Execution Environment. And yeah, Exec was founded back in 2017. Yeah, we kind of pioneer in that ecosystem.
Thank you, Nathan. Furkan, if you'd like to jump in.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone hears me well. It's Furkan. I work for Inco as a researcher. I'm coming from mathematics background, and I want to thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. Domenico, up next.
Hey guys, I'm Domenico, product manager at Horizon Labs. We're the team behind the Horizon protocol as well as ZK Verify protocol. These were blockchains that focus around privacy and ZK tech. Currently, we're now focused more on product initiatives that would help potentially enterprises and institutions with on-chain privacy solutions. And that's currently what we're working on now.
Thanks, Domenico. Lauren, you're up next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lauren. Thanks so much for having me. I do DevRel at Phoenix. So we're building a confidential compute layer for Ethereum with fully homomorphic encryption. So we are currently live on Base, Arbitrum, and Ethereum testnets.
Thank you. So yeah, I think that's is setting up everything. And I think it's the best time to jump into the main topics and hot topics that we want to discuss. Again, just to remind everyone, this is a panel format. Everyone is free to give their thoughts and business insights, also some technical insights, but not going deep into that regarding each topic. So yeah, basically, as I mentioned, in 2025, privacy was a trend. It clearly moved margins into the mainstream crypto narrative. From your perspective, what actually changed? Like what happened in 2025 that made privacy a trend? If anyone would like to jump in first, just go ahead.
Yeah, I think I could jump first. Yeah, 2025 was definitely a big year for privacy sector, thanks to the move of PrivacyCon as well, but also privacy rails infrastructure that are really important for builders. And I think that privacy did not grow just because cypherpunk or really technical person got louder, but because institutional wanted that. We saw that, tokenizing assets was really coming on chain with the problem of the privacy. And we see that on chain, the public blockchain are like terrible for sensitive financial intent and data. So the privacy is needed in terms of builders' needs, but also users' needs. So it's really becoming necessary and not just optional for any stakeholders of the ecosystem. So I think that privacy in 2025 won because the market demanded it. It's not just because the crypto asked for it. Just again another hot topic or narrative.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in your opinion, projects found they were lacking something and they found the solution within privacy in 2025.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to jump in and complete the answer?
Yeah, I sort of I agree with pretty much everything Nathan said. I would say that there's a lot of companies that saw this coming, and projects that saw this coming. Us being a privacy focused protocol initially, and that's like the main use case we want to solve for. I think it's kind of like this sleeping giant that we knew was going to happen one day, but didn't really know when it was going to happen. And we are, I think we're all in agreement that like we're trying to solve for bringing a different user to the blockchain, and they have essentially like a different set of use cases and set of problems that are different from like maybe the cypherpunk community. I would even go so far as to say that they are like completely two different user sets that you're serving for.
Yeah. In addition to what my fellow panelists said, which I totally agree with, privacy grew and became a narrative in 2025. Also because like on-chain activity matured from like a sort of experimentation to real financial operations. And as the other panelists also said, like many big players from outside of the space started entering the ecosystem in different ways, like acquisitions and some other ways. And once payrolls like treasuries, market making desks and institutional liquidity started touching public blockchains, transparent by default ledgers became an operational liability, rather than a philosophical feature. And also, in terms of something beyond being a narrative, I think privacy has real utility, and it is necessary to provide a similar experience that we have in Web 2, in different ways. And I find this fact quite important because in Web 3, almost everything grew with narratives. But this time, privacy has an actual utility, which is something have a potential to be permanent instead of being something seasonal, and that's why I find this growth very important and hopefully permanent. Also, early blockchain was more focused on verifiability, and after privacy getting more mature now, we will have new techniques that enabling both verifiability and privacy, and that's gonna be the point which that's gonna be the main distinction between Web 2 privacy and Web 3 privacy. So I'm quite hopeful.
Nice, well, amazing answer. Honestly, I think it comes from your the daily job, which is basically researching these hot topics and trends, and also technical aspects of privacy. So I highly value your thought, and it's straight. Actually, you just hit it bullseye.
Yeah, thank you so much. But as I said, I totally agree with what Nathan and Domenico said.
Exactly. And I think Lauren is having some technical issues. So in order we can just continue, and whenever she's back, she can jump right in. Oh, she's back.
Hey, sorry, my Wi-Fi dropped. Yeah, super agree with everything that everyone said. I think this timing was also really interesting because while we started to see users demanding privacy solutions, we also saw all-time highs in cryptographic weakness. So the infrastructure has hit a point where now we can actually provide them these things that they're looking for. And somebody asked me a really interesting question the other day. They're like, there's so much hype around privacy. You see it on crypto Twitter. It's kind of like everywhere in the conversation right now. But have we actually seen this correlation in terms of usage in privacy protocols? And I know if you look at, privacy coins like Zcash and Monero have way outperformed the market in 2025. I think we can all cleanly say yes. The usage does correlate. So yeah, 2025 was exciting.
It sure was exciting. It was a really big rally. Most of these privacy tokens did pump, and hopefully the privacy infrastructure and providers will shine in 2026 even more. That's what I hope. So yeah, really interesting answers. Thank you so much. I think it's time to jump into the second question, which is all about onboarding TradeFi and institutions when it comes to Web 2 to Web 3. And privacy in addition. So in your opinion, what do you think will be the key requirement for institutions to actually come on chain and start moving size and big assets into this industry?
I can start this time.
Go ahead.
First of all, I do think privacy will play the biggest part in onboarding institutions, because like no serious financial actor will operate while broadcasting like positions, flows, balances, and any counterparty in real time. Also, I do think there are three like main factors gonna be matter most like moving forward. One is flexibility, which totally relevant with what Lauren said for the previous question, because solutions which I think must be chain agnostic first of all and composable with existing assets and infrastructure. So they shouldn't be locked into a single ecosystem. Also, they obviously must be compatible with existing wallet solutions and some other tools the users are familiar with. The second thing, I guess, which is very important, is UX. I mean, we have many privacy protocols, many apps, infra, but do we have users? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's quite clear. So UX is pretty important, and privacy should feel something invisible to the user. User shouldn't know what the protocol there is. And we need simple flows, we need a predictable performance, we need recoverable keys if you're gonna speak technical stuff. And obviously they should be audit ready, right? Because we've seen many crashes just because some cybersecurity attacks, some smart contract attacks and things like that. And finally, which is something very important to me, is compliance. We've seen many negative things for different privacy protocols in the past, and I do think there is still a lack of clarity in terms of compliance, which makes it difficult for TradFi to be completely comfortable offering privacy. And this is what it is actually for me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the point. You mentioned the compliance, but I think people need to understand that privacy is not equal to anonymity on chain, and it's not just equal to like something, a black box where you don't know what is happening inside. So they want TradFi, I think, confidentiality and auditability. That's definitely the point, because they will never move on chain for that without these requirements. So they don't want to just hide from the regulator. They want to, I think, hide from the competitors, the front runners, the public, just basically everyone that is monitoring assets on chain, because they want to, have the same experience in terms of what they're doing in TradFi with the same compliance requirement, but also the same kind of opacity for the public, because their needs and the thing that they are playing with is absolutely different on chain. So I think privacy needs to break composability, of course, but also audits, and it needs to be, again, UX ready, because for builders, if it's painful to integrate, it absolutely dies. There is no way for that. So I think, for TradFi, they don't want to have something like anonymity, but they need confidentiality that they can prove. And for that, there is multiple privacy infrastructure technology that you can use, but depends on the use case, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of pretext here, right? Like, we all know and understand that institutions need privacy to come on chain, but institutions are used to privacy being native, right? Like, they've never been in a situation where privacy isn't automatic. And so, first, them understanding that, the transparent nature of the blockchain and that privacy isn't native in this situation, and that, it's something that they're going to have to design for. Once they, start to make those plans, it's a certain level of granularity around what's available to them, right? Like, you can disclose some information, but not all. You can control who can see it under what circumstances. There is granularity that's available here, and it's not just like, strict, here it is, all the data, here it is for anybody to see once we, are under an audit or require that level of compliance.
So yeah, I think compliance is something I'm in agreement with. I think to kind of just take a step back, as well as there's like a philosophical difference around privacy between institutions and like native crypto users who've been around for a long time. And I think that it's really important. The challenge is going to be for the existing crypto community and people building in Web3 to understand that there's going to be a compromise there, right? Because when talking to institutions, one of the things that was surprising to us was that there was one institution in particular that when asked if they would give away information to an authority, they've actually won in a situation with that where they gave everything to them. So for them, I don't even know if like the word privacy is the right word anymore. I feel like for them, it's more about data protection and secrecy, right? Like IP protection. And the motivations are different. Like the way an end user who would want privacy from like a cypherpunk perspective, it's like, I just don't want anybody to see what I'm doing. For this user, it's I want people to see what I'm doing, just not these other people, right? So that's a very different perspective, and I think it's about building for those use cases, and it is around compliance essentially. So I actually think the challenge is going to be coming more from the existing builders to kind of change their mentality a little bit rather than the institutions.
Exactly, 100% agree with all of you. Just to sum up all the answers, so basically some of the main points are, UX, interoperability, and also something really important that everyone did share is compliance. And this leads me to my next question, which is basically about compliance. So there's often basically like a fight or a perceived tension between, compliance and things that are censorship resistant. So in your opinion, like how do you think that balance is going to be evolving moving forward while seeing privacy a trend in 2026? Anyone would like to jump in and tackle that?
I cannot start again, but I just didn't want to do it like back to back.
No worries, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, it depends on the goal, obviously. But if we talk about the scenario which we've been discussing in this panel, like about institutions getting into Web3, with all due respect, I believe that this is no longer a binary choice. Like the future has to be compliance over privacy. And like for instance, in our recent research with Predicate, like we explored how privacy architectures can support like selective disclosure, rule enforcement, and auditable proofs, while in most cases still keeping user data private by default. This potentially and ideally allows protocols to meet regulatory or institutional requirements without exposing full transaction graphs or user balances simply. And with the lack of regulatory clarity, like figuring out the right compliance will be I think a sort of iterative process over time, because we've not been discussing compliance like for so long time. I do think it's quite new discussion, and few people are talking about it, which I'm 100% sure will increase. But like moving forward, I think the evolution is toward privacy-first systems with programmable disclosure, like where users remain confidential in normal operation, but can disclose specific facts when required. And this balance is what will allow privacy technology to scale into mainstream finance without sacrificing its core values. And finally, I would also find important to mention there is a difference between compliance and censorship resistance. So you can have a viewing key, for instance, for auditors or investigators, but that doesn't mean the protocol can censor you or steal your funds. So I would definitely make this distinction, and like all these are my thoughts about this.
Yeah, sure. I think privacy is not by design anti-compliance, of course, but bad privacy is, let's say. So it depends on what you're using. I think the industry is finally admitting it, that there is not just a battle between compliance and censorship resistance. It's a false dichotomy in a way. so absolute transparency is not censorship resistance, but let's say surveillance and monitoring by design in every chain is sort of not like what TradFi is wanting. So yeah, the real battle for me is between general transparency and programmable confidentiality for builders, because they will build what TradFi will use at the end.
Yep. So, Lauren or Domenico?
I think the one of the challenges is going to be about how to maintain the balance. Like, I think it's going to be like who are the winners and losers are going to be determined by who's going to be more liberal with restrictions and who's going to be more restrictive, right? And that is gonna, the thing that is going to control that lever as well is going to be user experience. So I think the users are, my hunch is that users are going to pick the protocols or the solutions that have the best user experience and have that right balance. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, is about who, I guess, what tech you're going to use and like how difficult it's going to be to maintain that compliance, and you know how much the gates are going to be open essentially.
Yeah, and just to build off what Furkan had said, I also love the work that Predicate is doing. I mean, bringing compliance on chain in order to make sure that the rules, I mean, like making sure sanctions and all of the things are handled before the transaction actually executes is huge, because right now the way this is largely handled is off chain and kind of like an apology after the fact sort of deal. So I think, you know, in 2026, we're going to see a lot of movement in this direction, and that'll be really, really cool to see.
Exactly. There's always going to be, you know, a fight between compliance, censorship resistance, you know, regulations, nations, and all that. We see these news all day, every day on Twitter, and hopefully, I do hope soon enough that there's going to be, you know, this middle ground between blockchain technology and actual Web 2 regulations within Europe, America, Asia, etc. And especially for privacy, because privacy is a really interesting topic, taking into consideration all the frameworks within Web 2 that each and every single company or institution needs to implement within their processes for data encryption, privacy, security, etc. So yeah, I think it's time to make things a little more interesting and start to discuss even more where we're headed, and basically the biggest misconception in privacy right now. Because whenever we see a trend within the market, everyone follows it, but a lot of people don't understand the misconceptions and what it entails. So currently, what teams aren't, you know, are not ready to admit going into 2026, and what are, you know, the most misconceptions about privacy that we should see?
Yeah, I can kick this one off. So I kind of alluded to it there in the beginning, but I think there's still an ecosystem-wide belief that privacy tech is just not ready, not scalable enough for DeFi. And I think we have made massive, massive strides. I mean, not just in the last year, but in the last, cycle of research and iteration that we've done in order to make sure that the tech is ready to go. And so, I have this conversation with developers time and time again with like, I would love to integrate FHE. It's just not ready. It's going to be too slow. It's too cumbersome. I'm like, no, it's good. Try. And also, you think about just like integration difficulty. I breathe the words fully homomorphic encryption and developers are like, whoa. But I'm like, well, it's Solidity, right? Like if you've written Solidity before, you can figure this out. And then once they get under the hood, they start like actually working on this integration, they see the same. But yeah, I think there's kind of just still the like broader misconception that it's very hard to implement and it's very expensive. And, we've just made so much progress making sure that that's not the case, that it's ready to unwind that belief a little bit.
Yeah, to me, the most, let's say not all, but most of the privacy projects currently are very impressive demo, but not very financial infrastructure. That's something I think people need to understand. UX is really a bottleneck I think UX is more a bottleneck than just cryptography and the way you can encrypt assets and protect everything. We know how to manage the cryptography in the different use cases, but how to make it really understandable for what is privacy and what is not, what is private and what is not in workflow. And if people don't understand that, basically they will not trust everything. If you don't understand the tech behind and the workflow, you don't trust the solution. So you can just try with a very small amount of money, but you will never like really put a lot of money in that workflow if you don't trust what is happening behind. So yeah, I think teams need to really admit that, and of course we need to work much more into production-ready systems and not just demonstrating something with a cool demo and a cool launch, because this is not just a negative narrative. It's really the rails of DeFi and TradFi coming on chain. So we have the time to build, I think, much more than just a new narrative popping on CT and that will die in about 3 weeks. That is not something that will happen. But we need to work much more into the latency and cost to make it more optimized for DeFi, because they will not touch it if it's not like the rails that they are currently using.
I sort of agree there. Our company has a lot of advanced cryptographers and researching all the new developments, and we're very well versed in ZK. I think that the misconception though is like understanding what the practicality of using this tech is at the current moment. Our team can make it work, right? It's more about like when we're bringing on other institutions, do they have the expertise to build the circuit correctly? Because there are ways to do it incorrectly, right? And it's about understanding like how can you best explain this to a regulator? Like ZK is very hard to. It's almost saying like just believe the math, and it's like they're gonna need to do a lot more due diligence in order to get to the place that we're at. So we're super bullish on cryptography. I think there is a misconception of the practicality of it at the current moment right now, though.
Yeah, I just want to start with summarizing what my fellow panelists said. The number of perfect protocols in private space is 0, which I found very natural. It's only we should stop pretending so. But like my serious answer is actually how crucial post-quantum security is. And like most teams are still building private systems, assuming today's public key cryptography hardness assumptions, mainly discrete logarithm problem. And assumption there is they will remain secure till some point, but the harvest now, decrypt later approach, or let's say threat, means the encrypted blockchain data being posted today may be decrypted in the future. And very few privacy protocols are being designed with post-quantum security in mind. And by 2026, teams will have to admit that private today doesn't mean private forever. And I would add only this one.
But actually raising the issue when it comes to post-quantum security is actually a hot topic within this space right now. We're seeing more blockchains, native blockchains, layer 1s actually, like popping on my feed, integrating post-quantum security. And when it comes to privacy, is it a must, or is it something that people can set aside right now in the time being in 2026?
Yeah, I personally think it's a really, really important must, because blockchain, like in Web 2, I wouldn't say the same, but in Web 3, we're submitting data on chain. And like in privacy protocols, the claim is, okay, this is a blockchain, people are submitting data, but this time they're encrypted. But we're submitting those data, and someone or some people can harvest all those ciphertexts today. And once we have a strong enough quantum computer, they can use those quantum computers to decrypt those historical ciphertexts. Obviously, that wouldn't be like that real, a daily data that day, but that would definitely leak some information about a user, and that's why starting to implement post-quantum secure schemes on day zero is very important, and I think this is the point most teams are not prioritizing right now.
Okay. Thank you, Furkan. Really loving the answers today. And I think this brings me to my last question, which is basically what everyone is waiting for. I think it's time to share some alpha, some insights, what's happening in 2026, where people should focus even more. So, in your opinion, what's the killer app or the most persistent use case that everyone should watch in 2026?
Yeah, to me, definitely the killer app is very simple. It's the application that DeFi with real money can use, basically. So could be private position and private balance on chain, of course. It could be also, let's say, confidential liquidation threshold. That could be really interesting. Private transfer, private payment, something like that. Private yield as well, dark pools. But yeah, something that really people can use. That's the killer app. We don't need, again, another demo on something.
Yeah, like a lot of sectors will benefit from privacy, like DeFi strategies, prediction markets, gaming, even DAO governance. All of those improve once you remove the ability to like front run, copy strategies, or profile users. But if I had to pick only one area that really matters, that would be payments. And if you think about it, real economic activity like salaries, B2B transfers, merchant payments, subscriptions, any sort of payroll, none of that works well when every counterparty amount or balance is public. And traditional finance runs on confidentiality by default, as we all know, which blockchains do not yet. So that's why I think the practical killer app is simply making everyday payments to work on chain without exposing sensitive financial information. And once that's solved with good UX and acceptable performance, obviously, a lot of other applications will naturally become viable on top of that.
Yeah, I agree with everything that was said so far. I think that it's not just one killer app. It's not one novel use case. It's going to be a really quiet, slow roll, the adoption of privacy. So we look at, the DeFi landscape as it stands right now. People are swapping, people are lending, and they'll continue to do so just without the amount of risk that they're fronting right now.
Yeah, I think payments is definitely a big one. I would say like an application, or it may be serving the existing applications that are already out there, right? Because is it about creating like a new private DEX, or is it about like making Uniswap private, right? So like there's a lot of DEXs out there that are very successful and do what users want. They just don't have the privacy capabilities just yet.
If anyone would like to add anything regarding this topic, or I can sum it up and keep it private. Okay, so basically, just to keep our viewers within the loop, the killer app or the use case for 2026 is gonna be DeFi related, payments related, and of course, it needs to have good UX and interoperability. And this is honestly one of my takeaways for this amazing panel. It was really amazing discussing with you. We had leaders within different privacy stacks from T, FHE, ZK, sharing their ideas, their thoughts, what happened in 2025, where we're heading in 2026. And hopefully we're going to be seeing more and more value and basically go on-chain privately instead of publicly in 2026. So that was basically it for today. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you again for the amazing panelists that we had today. And till next time, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.